Yeah, calisthenics number 12. Yeah. Fly robotics. Bifocals, my only purpose is to feed the locals. I'm spreading love when I see you and gotta approach you. I see the goodness in you, I wouldn't John with you. I know you hustling for your family just to pay the fiscal. I see the God up in you, He bless your physical. While we navigating problems, the world is abysmal. Skip the one up, let's get it to the center. Your house is big as mine, we can always help each other. Affirmation smother, it ain't even cost me a dime to uplift my brother.
Yo, welcome back. Vulnerability is the new sexy. I'm your man, Joe Corley. Today we're having a real raw conversation about value, especially how we are valued as Black men and, what we're taught and how to define not only ourselves, but each other. And too often our worth is measured by how much money we making, the kind of bag we getting, how we look physically, and how we putting it down in the bedroom. And we're going to try to expand that conversation to make sure we understand what our true value is and, just the value of our presence and what that really means. Those are shallow definitions of what it takes to be to be valued as a Black man. And we see it all the time. And it's breaking us, it's breaking us in ways that we don't always talk about. And me personally, as a counselor, I don't know how many men sit on my couch and talk to me about, how it's getting too heavy on them, how the pressure's weighing them down, and how they feeling. So today, I'm joined by my guys, KB, Devin, Walter, and the day drinker joined us last minute. Q hopped on and is going to give us this perspective as well. And together we're going to unpack, man, how these limiting beliefs impact our mental health. That's really what we got to talk about, guys, because I don't think a lot of people understand. Yeah, it's always, hey, man up or push through or get through it. And that's fine. You know what I mean? I mean, that may even be accurate, but what is it doing to us mentally, to our relationships, to how we feel about each other, and and how we value ourselves? So just round robin, I'm gonna start off, man. I guess I'm gonna start with you, Q, since you just popped on. What were you taught about growing up as about what makes a man valuable? What were you taught growing up?
Man, you know what it is, bro. Like you already know you gotta provide, you gotta protect, stuff like that. You gotta be excuse me, this exceptional person. But we already know as Black men, bro, it's a thankless job. You not really getting no credit for that. Cause the expectations that people have upon you and the world have on especially Black men, like I mean any man period, but the expectation of a Black man is thankless, bro. Like you supposed to provide, you supposed to do that. So like when we was taught that as youngins, but as like when you grow up and you realize like, yeah, I got feelings too and all of that, but yeah. You gotta know that it's a thankless job, bro, and you can't be mad that it's thankless. Like expectations gonna be there, but you just gotta do it, right. And at the same time, feel it and know that, man, I'm gonna go there anyway, because even though the expectation is that's what you're supposed to do, you feel like as a person, just a being, that's what I'm supposed to do. Like, not finna let nobody go without.
Yeah, man, you string them words pretty together, man. Together pretty good, man. Doing a day drinking, you took that power nap,
bro. I ain't even do it, bro.
You take a nap.
I had to throw on my specs, bro, because like my eyes hurting, bro. Walt, thank you for the inspiration, man, for the last 2 weeks, bro. I had to throw these joints on, man. Hey, I feel much better.
But Walt, touching on something he said, man, like man, when you don't do those things, when you don't provide or you don't Like let's just start right there, man. When you don't provide, man, what does that say about you as a man? How does that make you feel? Do you think, what I'm saying? What are we internalizing with that?
Oh man, that's a tumultuous thing. That's a rough thing to go through. Um, we've all been in a position where we were unable to provide here or there in
Yeah.
some way or another. We've all been there. We know what the reactions of the people that we loved were at that time, and we also know what we perceive them to be, because that's another thing, right? We think everybody has all this pressure on us and we have to do this and have to do the other thing, when many times, we do have support. But as a black man, we carry that weight, and we feel responsible as a man, period. We feel responsible for making sure the ends meet. Um, but like I said, sometimes we've all been in a space where we haven't been able to do that. And me personally, I have taken offense at perceived reactions from my loved ones in those moments, from
Yeah.
being honest.
Say
Yeah.
more, man. What do you mean by that? Say
Um,
more.
you know, I'm not trying to say that I did not have support at that time, but I feel like the pressure was turned up. I feel like there's enough pressure if, let's just say, the scenario is you lose a job. You're working, you lose a job, and now you're on the grind trying to find a new job, right? So you know how hard you're going to find that new job, but it's not easy out here. And I'm not trying to sound cliche. You might go on, 15 job interviews and not get a job. And now the people that live in the house with you, they're looking at you like, hey man, it's taking you a while to get back on your feet. The bills are piling up. What's going on? As if there's something that we can do about that in that moment. As if we're not, you know, putting pressure on ourselves to
Yeah.
make ends meet. So I have felt that pressure of, hurry up. We're depending on you.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah, I feel you, man. That makes perfect sense to me, actually. Uh, Devin, man, you come from a situation where you say your parents been married like 50 years or something like that, right?
Yeah, something like that. They're at 44, I think, close to
40
that.
years. So
Yeah.
I guess I'm curious to know from you, man, when did you start to feel like your worth was tied to how you performed or what you had or how you even looked?
I mean, honestly, like I think it transitioned, start shifting in like high school for real for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had a decent childhood where I was able to just be a kid, and I didn't necessarily have the pressures of having to grow up fast, like right away. But in high school, everything shifts in high school. You know what I'm saying? You start feeling yourself, you start, really hollering at girls. And so you start thinking about those things, and like you said, perceived pressure in the sense of what you're putting on yourself, that pressure that you put on yourself, where you're just like, oh, I gotta look this way, I gotta talk this way, I gotta act this way. And then you start doing the comparison thing when you start seeing the dudes that are older than you that get all the girls and how they look and how they act and how they go about living. And then you see the contrast of like the guys that don't get no girls, how they dress, how they talk, how they go about living. You know what I'm saying? And so you're like, oh man, like, how do I live? How do I act? How do I move? And then, for me, like I was always a quiet kid, but I had like the cool cousins, the older cousins where I was around, but I was a quiet kid. But then you start finding yourself, start finding that move, start finding the way you talk, start finding the girls that like you and what they like about guys. And then you start to try to mold yourself into what you think they like, you know? And so high school really started it for me. And then obviously into college and everything like that. And as you grow up, you start finding who you are, I guess, in a sense.
Yeah, no, I didn't think about it like that. Both my parents died when I was a teenager.
Damn, sorry to hear that, bro.
It's cool, man. But I never saw, like a man in the home, like doing anything that was worth of anything, like in real time. But I did get my value, like from the way I look. I felt the pressure from the way I look. I got that from high school.
Yeah.
Because you know what I'm saying? You didn't dress a certain way. You didn't have a certain pair of shoes on.
Right.
You know what I mean? You just you look, you a clown pretty much, and you weren't, getting the girls or whatever. But I didn't feel any pressure from performance, honestly, until like damn near till my son was born. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden it hit me real hard. I actually, when he was born, I've said this many times, I fell into a depression in that same season because I had never felt what it meant to like be responsible in a way, even though I was married. I had already, I had been married for like a year and all, but I didn't understand the pressure of it at all.
Yeah.
Until he was born, I was like, oh, if I don't perform, if I don't show him what a man is, and I still to this day, and my youngest son is 15, my older son is 23.
Yeah.
To this day, if they do something like they don't brush their teeth in the morning, like, oh damn, as a I didn't show them how to brush their teeth in the morning. You know what I mean? Like that's my job. You know what I mean? But I mean, speaking of fatherhood, man, KB, let me ask you, man, when did you start to feel like feeling any type of pressure about performing, or do you even feel any pressure about performance around what I'm saying, in your space as a father, what I'm saying, or as a black man in general?
Yeah, definitely. I pretty much carry the ship, man. And if I ain't consistent, then the ship pretty much sink. But when it first started, was I was saying high school too, because I had my first child in high school. I was 17 years old when I had my first child.
Okay.
So I couldn't even really, when I was going applying for jobs, they would say, "Are you 18 or older?" And I would have to check no. So yeah, it was some real pressure, knowing that I had to come through, and it was tough for me at that time.
Who put it on you when you was 17? Who was like, man, you gotta step up right here? Who put that on you?
My old man, he was letting me know, you grown now, pretty much. You gotta take care of this child. You gotta handle your business. So
Man.
yeah.
And I'm gonna come back to you, Dev, because I had a question while you was talking. Man. I was thinking about how pop culture, how music, what I'm saying, how to influence the idea that we have to be this way or we don't
Mhm.
have value if we don't pop out.
Yeah, I mean, with the culture the way that it is and the way the trends are going and how people are perceiving themselves or posting themselves on social media, like when it comes to like performing and being present and being valuable, like you have to, in the eyes of like the world that we live in, you have to look a certain way, you got to dress a certain way, you got to have certain swag, you got to talk a certain way, all these things. And I feel like when you really pay attention, you can weed out the people that are just faking it just to make it. You know what I'm saying? And as you know, being grown now, I can see it where before growing up in that culture, it was a lot of pressure because it
Yeah.
was about followers, and it was about staying relevant, and you have to stay relevant, you have to stay up with the trends and how you look, how you dress, the car you drive, all those things. And so pop culture pushes a lot of pressure on the world, but as black men, yeah, it puts heavy pressure on us because we're the ones who are creating a lot of the trends. You know what I'm saying? And if we don't stick with, or if we're not hot and keep the trends going and trend setting and stuff like that, we can fall right off the map.
Yeah.
Right off the map.
I know I grew up in the Midwest and I knew what was influencing the culture in the Midwest for the majority. But I'm curious, does that apply for you two brothers raised in the South, Walter and KB, man? Like what was the music scene for you, Walter, or pop culture influencing how y'all moved when y'all was younger? Was it influencing y'all to dress and act and I guess ride a certain way?
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
I'm, I'm
most
gonna
everything.
definitely.
I'm gonna go to Walter first, and I'll go to KB. Go ahead, Walt.
Uh, I grew up in Kenner, man, right outside New Orleans. And when I was a teenager, the Hot Boys and Lil Wayne and all these guys was popular. And this is before the world knew who they were, right? So their music would not it's not PC today. Like the stuff that they used to rap about back then, they wouldn't even play on the radio today. They wouldn't even like promote that music because they were literally talking about, selling drugs and beating women and you know, but that was what was hot and that is what I don't want to say I modeled my life after, but it was definitely in the tape deck. You know what I mean? Like, so, um, I even find, to kind of extrapolate on it, I even find that as an older grown person, like today, social media even puts pressure on us if we let it as mature adults. But like that thing that Devin was talking about in high school, when you figure out, who you are and what the girls like about you and how to talk and how to smell and how to dress. Like when I was in high school, I wasn't a popular, I was a chubby kid and I was a nerd. So I didn't, the girls wasn't looking at me. But I found that once I graduated, it's like it reversed. Once I graduated, or once I left high school, like it's like the same women that I was interested in high school seem to be interested in me now. It's not that my value increased. It's not that I did anything different. It's just that I think culture kind of leads that.
Yeah.
The things that's going on in pop culture lead the decisions of what a woman is looking for, or what anybody is looking for out here in the world. What is appealing to them.
100%. About you, KB? I was down here, man, riding spinners and all that. What was they doing, man?
Yeah, it really shaped everything. It was really my foundation, just pretty much on how to move and how to carry myself and how to do certain things differently, how to treat women, uh, yeah, how to carry myself, do's and don'ts,
Hold on,
stuff to
man.
stay away from.
What you learned? What you learned about treating how to treat women? What's? Hold on, man. What you saying? What you learned early from the music in that?
Uh, once I once I got off of Usher, I kind of went to like zero and all that type of stuff. It wasn't positive. I would just say that I wouldn't say it was a positive thing.
But that's important. I mean, that's what we. I mean, I'm saying like not understanding like what you learn about how to treat women in that era really came from a lot of negative reinforcement, a lot of things that probably need to be unlearned as you grow older. I tell people all the time, I was in my late 30s with somebody for another grown black man looked me in the face and told me having one woman is cool. You know what I mean? Like I didn't understand honestly. And that sounds crazy to think about, but over and over again, our culture is influencing us to have as many women as possible and hypersexualizing ourselves. Um, or you're not really a man of value if you're not knocking them down or knocking a new one down every couple of days. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, that's a real problem that we have. And as we get older, even now, I speak to young black men. I'm trying to get them to understand the value of just focusing on either one woman at a time or being honest with multiple women at a time. Like there's no value in running around lying to a bunch of different girls about, what I'm saying, seeing them. Like there's just so you can try to collect as many bodies as possible. But what KB talking about it was in the music, bro. My first rap video I ever saw was I Get Around. I mean, it's the first one I ever tapped in on was I Get Around. That was it for me, bro. I was like, what is this? Because I was late to hip hop. I ain't gonna lie to you. So I was like, is this the dude from Juice? What is he doing? Oh, oh, okay. So this is how you're supposed to live, man. You on mute, Q.
My bad. My bad. Hey, bro, I said don't tell nobody else that, bro. That's when you got on Fox. Yeah, don't tell nobody else that.
I was late, bro. I was late, man. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I was in them books, man. I was playing chess. I was a nerdy little. I was a nerd. I don't straight. I didn't figure it out. I didn't figure out girls like me till I was in the 10th grade. I was like, oh, this is a little different. But yeah, but I'm saying I was late. So when I got to it, it was I Get Around. That was the first rap song I ever memorized. But when I'm on you, Q, man, who's the rapper that influenced your upbringing the most, man? He was like,
Man, I can't even lie. Like first off, Scarface, like he don't got a lot of songs that's for ladies, so to speak, but like it's just
he
like
was in the streets.
Yeah, that's just how I grew up, man. Like I'm from the north side of Chicago, and like I don't know if y'all know, but like the north side of Chicago is like it's probably revered as like the weakest part of Chicago.
Mm,
But you know, it's not that, of course. But if and so Scarface was like it was like that for us. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
But he don't, like I said, he don't talk about women a lot. He talk about like real street stuff.
Yeah. But I'm gonna stay on UQ, man. Let's get to the real level because lately, man, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be real transparent and vulnerable, man. I've been struggling personally with some of these values, and I'm trying to redefine or reshape, my value and giving credence to my presence versus what I'm able to provide or how I'm able to perform and all these other things. So that kind of inspired me to have this conversation. But Q, let me ask you, man, these definitions, these narrow definitions of money, sex, and looking a certain way, how have they had impact on your mental health?
Man, yeah, you already know it's a twisted methodology, bro. Like as black men, we know, bro, from the south, bro, up here. I'm sorry, I don't know y'all. I ain't get the pre, but you know what I'm saying. Then we go to walk. Like everybody been inflicted by having. So what we'll say nowadays, like I'm having it. Like that's always, you know, put a personal burden on us.
What you mean by
You got
tell us what you mean by having?
having it like you got money. Like I don't care, man. I don't know any one of us could have 200 in a bank account, 400 in the bank account, or 4 bands, or 40 bands. But I don't care how much you got. When you think you ain't got it, it's the societal burden.
Mhm.
Like whatever that money say, that's what has been put upon us. You know what I'm saying? Regardless. And like back to your question is like that put a burden on us, man. Like regardless how much you think you successful or how successful you have been, regardless, it's gonna be somebody who's telling you that you ain't
Yeah.
or you ain't got it like that. Like I don't know if y'all know about the viral video where dude was like, man, I ain't fresh. He got on polo, some Air Maxes, whatever.
Mhm.
What the bam, like he like, man, I ain't fresh. He even got food for the whole car, but some two shorties was like, man, Joe, like you not fresh.
Right.
You just got In and Out burgers. Like you ain't that.
Yeah.
But it's always gonna be that burden like on a man, on a black man. And you know, it's cool. It, like I ain't gonna say it's cool. Like I started to say that, but I ain't gonna say it's cool. But yeah, like I said, like it's a thankless job as a black man.
Yeah.
You know, like
100%.
regardless, I don't care if you got 1 million, 2 million, or 200 million.
Right.
It's a thankless job. That's always gonna be a burden on us, and it's just been there.
No, it's
But
100% a thankless job. Yeah.
yeah,
It's 100% a thankless job, man. And I know exactly what you mean when you say that because you feel like you can't really go out and tell nobody, or there's no one really to turn to and be like, man, I'm not okay. You know,
Mhm.
I'm really feeling it right now. Like this is really heavy on me. And I'm about to, it's not just about the performance, it's other things in the world that we dealing with. We dealing with losses, we dealing with, what I'm saying? I mean, it's just a lot. And there's nobody to be like, man, I ain't okay, because that always that fear of what you gonna get back is man up, or what I'm saying, I need you to be okay. You can't tell me you're not okay. I need you to be okay, or we're not okay as a family. So you just hold it in, you keep it to yourself, and then once that silence, it starts killing you. But Devin, man,
Yeah.
Have you ever felt like you couldn't measure up, man? You know, tell me how that looked for you. How did it feel, bro?
Yeah, man. I mean, like my man Q said, like the world puts the pressure on you. But it's a different level also when you're an entrepreneur too. You know what I'm saying? And you're chasing something that you believe in. And one thing that I've learned is that your vision is usually not everybody else's vision. You know what I'm saying? And so that mindset of like, man, I'm in this alone. I'm doing this by myself. You know what I'm saying? And even when you have the lows, you can't show that. You can't share that, is because people don't see what you're going through because it's your vision. And so when you go through a low, you've got that mindset of just like, I can't tell nobody. I can't tell nobody. Everybody sees outside looking in and thinks you're doing well and thinks everything's going well because outside looking in, everything is shiny and gold and great. But the grind is real. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, as an entrepreneur, and understanding that, okay, I gotta run this race alone for the most part, and my wins will be everybody's wins, you know, but my losses are just me. You know what I'm saying? Because you feel, I didn't feel comfortable sharing that, man, I lost this opportunity, or I had, you know, a contract that I was supposed to sign and it fell through. Because usually when the highs are highs, you're sharing that, everybody's applauding for you and great, but people don't understand what you go through when you are hoping for this thing to happen, because it can shift things, adjust things, or whatever it may be, and it falls through on you. And so it's like, oh, well, you can try again another time. It's like, nah, this might have been a once in a lifetime situation. You know what I'm saying? Or you'll get it next time. And it's like, you don't understand. You don't understand where I'm at. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get it, man. People get real dismissive with us, right?
Very much so.
They're
Very
straight.
much.
They just like, y'all, you'll be okay, or you'll get it next time. And that type of mentality, man, it's very common among us. Just expect us to be resilient.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like you gotta work through it. Figure it out. Figure it out on the other side. You'll be all right. You'll do it. And it's just like that low could sometimes be so low that it drops you into a dark space. You know what I'm saying? It really drops you into a dark space, but you can't. I felt like I couldn't invite anybody into that dark space to help me get through it. You know what I'm saying? Because of the misunderstanding of it all. So it's just like that whole process of like, okay, yo, you got to ride this. You got to ride it out, figure it out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You got to ride it out and get to the other side, because nobody's sitting here checking for you.
Right.
If I could chime in on what Devin said, and I'm sorry, Joe.
Yeah, no, go ahead, bro. Yeah, go ahead.
Nah, man, he just made a real point about entrepreneurship as a black man. There's literally nobody we can talk to. When you're a black man in business for yourself, like you can't talk to your family about the challenges that you face on a daily basis, because a lot of times they'll discourage you. They'll tell you, why are you putting yourself through that? Like, stop doing that. Go get a job. Like, you know, in all of these things. And even in the successes, I find I don't really share a lot of stuff with the people that's, you know, family. Like, it's just not smart to do.
Yeah. On that subject right there, I've stopped sharing that as well, because like when you're excited about something, and you guys probably get attest to this, when you're excited about something because you're passionate about it, and you share it with somebody thinking you're gonna get that same energy, and you don't.
Like that,
oh man,
Yeah, it hurts.
that
Yeah.
joint hurts, bro.
Biggie said it, bro, in one of the 10 Crack Commandments. He said it, bro. Y'all know the line.
Yeah, that joint hurts, man, because then you want that same celebration, you want that same energy reciprocated, because it's like, hey, you know, I'm hitting that next level. You know, things are moving, things are happening. It's like, oh, congratulations.
Yeah.
Finally, or you get that. Oh, finally. It's like,
right. People don't know how deflating that is, bro. That's really deflating, man, to be wanting to be excited and share some information about. But you said it, man. Like you said a couple things when you said, you know, talking about the vision, like the vision is yours, right?
yeah,
So you see it, so they don't feel the losses like you feel the losses, because they don't actually see where it is you're trying to do, and the wins are everybody's, but the losses are only yours.
Yeah.
That was a dope line right there, man. Like that was a dope line. Like Q put that one in the song, bro. That was a dope line.
For sure, yeah, that's jewelry, bro. That's
It's
jewelry.
jewelry, man. That's dropping gems right there, man. The wins are for everybody, but the losses are you gotta deal with the losses by
Yeah, deal
yourself.
with them alone, man. And it's a hard pill to swallow too when you
Yeah,
finally come to that conclusion. You know
yeah,
what I'm
man.
saying? I remember the day when I realized, like, man, my vision is not for everybody. Because you start sharing your vision and people start, hey, what if you take your vision this way? Or what if you go this way with it? You know, maybe the vision that you have right now is not the right one. Maybe you need to take this
That one.
detour. You know what I'm saying? And so then you start second guessing the vision that, and I'm a believer. Like me and God have a dope relationship. And so you start second guessing that vision that God downloaded for you to
For
take
you,
over.
right?
You know what I'm saying? And so now you're detouring off of the plan that you were supposed to be on because other people are trying to Rubik's cube your vision. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
100%.
so that joint, man, that was a hard pill to swallow. When I realized, like, all right, I'm just zip.
Yeah, for sure. KB, man, let me ask you, man, when these pressures start showing up, how does it impact your relationships and your personal life?
It impacted a major, but really it was a lot of me, putting pressure on me because of outside influences. Like
Yeah,
I was touching on about the internet and other examples that's out there. You start kind of comparing your family and your relationship to others and what you see, and then
right.
that make you feel a certain type of way, and then it do deflect your trajectory of where you was headed in your vision. It kind of make you start thinking of other routes or other things to kind of lead up to that. You know what I'm saying? It kind of messed with my patience a lot.
That's
I
what I
kind
mean.
of started wanting things more
Yeah,
quicker as I seen them. I
yeah.
had kind of started it messed with my patience a lot.
That's
Yeah,
good. I mean, the whole patience thing is huge.
right.
Huge.
Because that's when you start rushing things and start missing opportunities and missing lessons that you needed to learn in the situation. Like
Do
that
we
right there, that's big.
when we start losing our patience, man, the things don't start turning out the way we want to turn them out. I mean, do we start having conflict inside of our relationships? That's that's what I was getting at. I want you to touch on that, KB. Like when you started interacting with, the people that's closest to you, um, do you start taking out that loss of patience on them in a way?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It definitely shortened my patience and basically just kind of like all around because it's like, but with the pressure being upped in that lane, as far as like living up to be this and this vision, it kind of put like a lot of my focus on that. And then when this over here started knocking on my door, it kind of felt like you pulling me in two different directions. So it kind of made me a little bit more short tempered towards that.
Right. And that's like black men, the, for the most part. We're not all a monolith. We don't all think and feel the same things. But I'm speaking from my personal experience of being a therapist and a counselor and talking to black men, especially when I'm dealing with those in relationships. That's the first thing. The first emotion we turn to is anger. You know what I mean? And a lot of times we don't even recognize it. We feel justified in that anger because that's all we know. It feels right to us, rather than just communicating what actually the things that we're actually feeling. And a lot of the reasons we don't do that is because of what we're talking about here. It don't feel safe to do that. It don't feel safe to be like, man, I'm sad or I'm disappointed that this didn't turn out the way that it's somebody watching this right now that's gonna say, man, you gotta change your mindset. Or, it's a brother that's saying it right now. That's gonna say those type of things,
Mhm.
whereas that's what you've heard your whole life. So you don't feel masculine talking about your losses
Yeah,
or feeling a way about your losses because what you supposed to, what I'm saying, you're just supposed to be resilient at all times, man. So that's what I'm talking about, man. That's where the safety goes, bro. And when you can't talk, what comes out of you 99% of the time is going to be frustration and anger.
I think that's one thing growing up too. It was either being okay or being mad. Those were the two emotions that we were able to acceptably share, that were acceptable to the world around us. You know what I'm saying? Like either you were straight, like you were good, or you're angry. We accept your anger because you're a man. That's what y'all do. Y'all get angry, y'all get frustrated. But that's it. You know what I'm saying? When you're sad, oh, you're soft. Stop being soft. You know what I'm saying? Or when you're confused about something, you stop being stupid, stop being dumb. You know what I'm saying? When you're angry, it's like, okay, yeah, he's manning up now. Yeah. Or when you're okay, everything's cool.
Right. When you're okay, everything's cool. I only feel comfortable showing you my emotions when I'm up.
Yeah.
When I'm winning, I can come and show you my excitement because I know for the most part, you know what I'm saying, if I'm really up, you finna celebrate this win because it probably impacts you in some kind of way, you know what I mean, in a real positive way, you know what I mean, or relieve some stress off of you. So you're gonna be happy to hear about this.
Yeah.
But man, I mean, I think we're really touching on something, man. That constant performance creates emotional disconnection. Like we just disconnected from our emotions and start really tying ourselves to the performance. So we can only be good if we are performing well. You know what I mean? If we are performing well, then we're gonna feel good. You know what I mean? Like it does, like that's it. But when we talking about husbands and fathers and whatnot, and where does our value really lie, man, in these situations, man? Like, you know what I mean? We present. Hey, I didn't have a father present. I didn't have a father present. So I just sometimes get overwhelmed sitting on the couch with my son and I'm looking at him and I'm like, yo, can I ask you something? How does it feel to have me sitting here? He looking at me like crazy. But I'm not trying to pat myself on the back or nothing like that, but I'm really curious for him. What's that like, man? What is that like for you? Because I'm sitting here and I don't know what it means to look across on the couch and see my father sitting there.
That's heavy. That's heavy.
You know?
Yeah.
He just, he looks at me like he reflects, he takes it in and he thinks about it, and and he kind of goes to what obviously I don't know any different. I don't know what it looks like for you not to be sitting here. So I can't answer that for you. I can't answer that. You know what I'm saying? And I gotta take that. You know,
like look, I got three of them. My oldest, he's out the crib, bro. Like, I talked about this before. He out the crib. He gone back to Minnesota, and it's crazy the stuff that he tell me now that like we FaceTime or whatever when you can't see him physically. The stuff he tell me like, man, I learned this, and thank you for giving me that. Yeah. And I'm like, man, how like to me too was nuts. Like, bro, I ain't never had that. And that's a great feeling to know that, they learned this. Even when you might have talked to them for 5 minutes and they learned something.
Yeah.
Right. But it's the same. Like I still like. I mean, when something goes wrong in his life, though, Q, like, do you feel like a certain responsibility for the mistakes that he makes? You know what I mean? Like, damn, I should have done something different, or do you just kind of look at it like, man, he's got to live his life?
No, yeah. Of course, bro. Like, that's the burden that we take as black men. Like, I'm just gonna say it. Like, fuck it. I ain't even gonna even hold. Like, yeah, as black men, yeah, we feel like all the mistakes that our kids make is our fault. Like, fuck it. Like, some other men might think, but black men for sure. Like, nah, if I would have just, woo wop, or if I would have did this, he probably would have been better. Like, we gon' take that burden for sure. We gonna take that burden for sure. Like, I don't know, because I feel like it's our responsibility as black men to be like, all right, I live like this, but I I did all of these things and I lined up all of these things so you shouldn't go through this.
Mm-hmm.
But no matter how it is, as a young black man and an older black man, an adult black man, you still gonna go through those things. So yeah, the father's gonna take the burden, even though like the son shouldn't take the sins from his father. But yeah, you gonna feel like, damn, if I would have just one more talk,
Mm-hmm.
one more lesson, or one more speech, if I would have just told them this instead of that, you always gonna feel that, especially as a black man, for
Right.
sure.
Right. Walt, man, you feel like you still trapped in this mindset, or do you have a different definition of value or a different perspective on what your value is now today?
Have a different perspective, but you know, I am still affected by the traditional thoughts behind these ideas.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, you know better than anybody, man. I really right now I have just turned off, right? I have turned off from expectations, like all of that. I've just turned off. Maybe I'll be back. Maybe I'll be back and say, okay. But right now, it's all about me. And I mean, to do that effectively for me, that means all those expectations about the value I think that I bring to the table for this person, that person, other person, it can't matter to me. I can't care right now. And so I'm literally, I've just turned off. Like I'm not. So to answer your question directly, yes, my attitudes about my value are evolving, and I'm taking my evaluation of my value into consideration first these days.
Yeah.
I like that concept, and I'm in a similar space as you right now. Is even based off of what I was talking about with the vision and everything like that, where I was so keen on what people thought about my vision, completely cut that out. You know what I'm saying? Expectations from other people. I allow people to just be who they want to be. You know what I'm saying? This
Mhm.
is who you want to be, then cool. I'll put you in
That's
this
cool.
section
I'm
right here.
right, and I'm okay with it.
And I'm
We don't
okay with
have to
that. That's
have a tug of
cool.
war. Yeah,
Yeah, because then that cuts off a lot of the pressures that we add to ourselves too, and add to other people. You know what I'm saying? You have an expectation for somebody to be a certain way, and they can't meet that expectation, and now you're disappointed because of the expectation that you put on them. That's unfair to you and unfair to them. You know what I'm saying? And so my mindset of completely just not, I guess not eliminating, but like curating my expectations with certain people, like it's brought so much peace to my life, bro. Like when I tell you, like even pressures on myself, like,
Yeah.
yeah, you're gonna have a lot of pressure on yourself. You're your worst critic. For me, I know I'm my highest pressure
right,
because I know what I have the ability to do. I
right.
know what my value is, and so like that's gonna be a thing. But I don't base my value off of who people think I am.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I think Devin, I'm even tempering that though. Like what you just said about evaluating your own value, you know the expectations you have of yourself,
Yeah.
right? And I'm even tempering that. I'm even like, because that has been driven by a conditioning that I think is unhealthy for all of
Mm,
us. And
mm,
so, you know, far be it from me to tell another person, you should do this or you should do that. But for me, I just see the faultiness in what we've been doing, in the way we've been doing it. And there's a better way. And I don't know what that is, but I'm experimenting actively to figure it out.
yeah. Yeah.
I want
And I
y'all.
mean, that's a
I-
good step. That's a good step. Like,
This this is a good question in chat, man. I want y'all to tackle it, man. Because what we talking about, somebody could take that as an excuse not to take care of your business. You know what I mean? And I don't think, we men of accountability. I know, like I said, I know y'all well enough to know that y'all don't feel that this is a out or an escape to
oh,
take
absolutely.
care of what you got to take care of. So the question is, should we not want to provide and protect and be our best selves? As men, that's our jobs. Okay.
Okay.
So the pressure is there, but some will take that as it's okay for them not to be their best. Briefly, man, I want y'all to just take a minute to kind of respond to that, man. And let me know what you think. But go ahead, Devin. Go ahead and give it a shot, man.
Man, for me, I think you should always thrive to be your best self. That doesn't mean, oh, I should just hold off on providing for my family or, my loved ones or protect my loved ones. I think that should be a part of you being your best self. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the pressure is always going to be there, no matter what. Like whether we want to believe it or not, whether we want to have the expectations or not, we know the pressure is going to be there. But I think the value comes when you start to step into your best self,
right,
and start learning your best self.
Right.
Because like we've been talking about, there's a lot of who we are has been built by our expectations, by other people's expectations. And I don't feel like that version of what's been built has really been the best version of ourselves until we started to come into ourselves and start realizing, like, I'm Devin. I've always been Devin, but I was trying to fight to figure out who this person thought Devin was, so I became that. Or this person who thought Devin was, so I became that. And so that back and forth. But now I know who I am, and I'm able to step into the best version of myself, which also requires me to provide at the highest level, which means to protect at the highest level. You know what I'm saying? So
yes.
I don't think at all us, saying that, okay, no expectations, and, now we're just focused on, who we are. No, that means we're doing it now at a higher level than what it was before.
I think,
Yeah, that let me chime in. Let me chime in. That requires what we always be talking about, man. Like the unlearning and the getting the toxic traits up out of ourselves. It requires the unlearning, because we are black men. We emit strength. So yeah, we can pat our bellies and rub our heads at the same time. So yes, I can provide too and be the best me I can be. And that requires growth every day. You
Every day.
got, like you said, Devin, like you gotta know yourself and look in that mirror every day, like, man, yeah, I'm him.
Yep.
No, it's more. It's not. You just can't do it at your detriment to yourself. Of course, you should want to provide and protect. And then, like Devin said, that does involve us being our best selves. But the problem is that a lot of us are doing that at a detriment to ourselves, and we're not being our best selves. We're allowing ourselves to break down. We're not taking care of ourselves at all in any kind of way, because we have this, unrealistic belief or unhealthy belief that our value, our sole value is tied up in that. And if we don't do these things, then we do not have value. And that's not the truth. That's not the truth. There's much more to us than just, providing and protecting. Presence, you forgot another P. Presence has to be in there.
Facts.
Be in there.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go to KB, man, because I ain't gonna tell you business or nothing like that, bro. But I do know this about you. Nothing irritates you more than being undervalued. I've heard you talk about this several times, bro. So when you feel like, you know what I'm saying, your contributions are being taken for granted, and you get elevated, you escalate immediately, man. So how do you feel about this conversation, man, that we have when we talk about, your contributions as a total not being appreciated?
I mean, yeah, you're right. They do definitely upset me. But as far as pulling back, um, I do think sometimes you can dive into something, even if it's like taking care of your family too much to the point to where you kind of lose yourself, and then they lose your sharpness as far as providing and protecting. So I think it's more of like just a balance thing. You might have to pull back a little bit to pour a little bit more into you. The way you can do your job as far as when it comes to being the head of the family and the household more better. You know what I'm saying? I just think it's like a balance thing. But the appreciation and the gratitude does help as far as, uh, just keeping you level headed while you're going through the challenges of the world. That's about it though.
Yeah, the appreciation, man, is that what escalates you when you feel like, yeah, okay, maybe I didn't do this over here, but it's 10 other things that I did over here that you're not even acknowledging. Is that what sends you over the edge, I guess?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what that's another common occurrence. But what I'm saying, like, it's hard to even take accountability sometimes for where you falling short when you feel like, what I'm saying, the emphasis is always going to be put on what you're not doing
Mm-hmm.
versus what you are. So I guess, I don't know. Is it up to us to, I don't know, be our own cheerleaders? I mean, because we can't change the world around us. This is the way it views us. And we have to expand our capacity to exist in this space the way that it is. And we can't expect for everybody. I mean, it's good to have conversations like this, but we can't gather every 10 minutes and what I'm saying, and dump this stuff off on each other. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I guess my question is, what I'm saying, how do we expand our capacity for feeling unappreciated so often? I'm gonna throw that to Walt.
No, I shouldn't answer a question with a question. But why? But why do we have to?
Yeah.
Right? I'm gonna get a little personal here, right? Uh, I have been married for 13 years, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, this entire well, I'm not gonna say this entire marriage. For the majority of my marriage, I have felt greatly underappreciated. I know what I bring to the table. My wife knows what I bring to the table, but I think the conditioning is a big part of what's wrong, especially in our households. I think, and I'm gonna use two different races that I'm familiar with personally, right? I'm gonna use the Latin culture. Latino women are raised a certain way. They're raised to cater to the men in the family. They're raised cooking their dad's dinner, making sure that the men in the house are taken care of. Black women aren't typically raised that way. And then when those women get older and get married, that Mexican lady tends to value her husband a little bit more because she was taught to. But the black woman wasn't taught to do that. All she knows is daddy go to work, come home, bring the money. Mom always fussing with him, whatever the case may have been in that household. But I think the trauma from way generations past um, is still manifesting that way in our household because in ancient culture, right? So in some cultures still in Africa, the boys are taken out of the home at a certain age and taken to go be with the men so that they can understand what it is to be a man. We don't have that anymore. So now all the men, the black men in our society are raised by their mothers because the dad was absent. So now we're missing the warrior part, but the women still expect us to have that. Right. So they're holding our value there and saying, oh, this is what a man should be worth. But I don't see my husband doing this, that, and the other. But your husband can't because he was raised by his mother.
Mm.
Right. So it's a very complicated tapestry of things that are woven together that affects not just what we perceive our value to be, but what our spouses or our loved ones perceive our value to be. And sometimes I guess I'm defending them because it's not always their fault that they don't see what you're doing as a black man.
It's heavy.
People are gonna pick that apart, man, but there's so much truth in what you just said, man. I'm really gonna have to take some time because I'm actually this is kind of what my next week's episode is about, kind of what you just touched on. And like there's a lot in there that I'm as I'm talking, like I'm trying to circle it through my mind, bro. You said a lot, bro, about what we're taught. And I'm curious from a man's standpoint, because you kind of touched on what black women are taught growing up about how to value their men. Would you then be able to talk about kind of, I guess maybe we kind of already did, about what we're taught about how to value our women and how those two messages kind of grow and manifest until what we see today, basically as modern day gender wars.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That's
Jewelry.
that is. I mean, people are not gonna like that, but that's the truth, man. I mean, I got all sisters. That is the truth, bro. What you just said. And there's a lot to be talking about, you know what I'm saying, how them, because I counsel a lot of Hispanic women, and there's a lot to be said about, how they actually get valued themselves in them relationships later on in life. And it's not good. You know what I mean? So it's some positive and negatives in there, but um I don't want to miss the point, man. What you said was spot on, bro.
Yeah.
Um Yeah, man, that's a whole nother topic, man. So I don't want to get too deep into that, man. But appreciate that, Walt. But I do want to give y'all an opportunity, man, to talk about, what I'm saying, some because most of y'all, we still working on Q, but most of y'all have been in therapy, man. So I kind of want to know kind of what y'all are taking
I've
away.
been once, man. I've been once, man. It helped a lot. It helped a lot, bro.
We
You
gotta get
should
you
have
a checkup
you
first.
should have seen me. You should have seen me before I went to that joint. Boy, I was man.
We gotta get you a checkup first, man. Then we get you into therapy, man. You make an appointment, man, to get a checkup, man.
Nah, man, not
Come
yet,
on, bro.
bro.
We gotta get a
You
checkup.
know I'm on it though.
All right, man. Get a checkup, bro. Next time, man. We want to know you at least made it. Everybody out there, the next time you see Q, man, get in the chat and ask him, did he get a checkup, man? Hold this man accountable to take care of his health, man. Brothers, go to the doctor, man. Q, get a checkup. Everybody remember that, man. Tell Q to get it. Ask Q if he got a check, or he made an appointment at least to get a checkup. All right. But let's talk about the mindsets, man. That if at all, have they shifted? Because I know all y'all got kids. KB and Walt, y'all got sons. And I'm just kind of wondering. I know Q, you got sons. What is we showing up and we having these conversations and we challenging the mindsets that we've grown up learning and understanding. So what has shifted in y'all that you would share with younger generations that came behind y'all to like, okay, about their value and how to what I'm saying, how do you talk to the younger generations about their value in a more meaningful way, I guess is what I'm asking. Um
Mhm.
and Devin, I'm gonna start with you, man.
Man, honestly, like this is somewhat of a new phase of mine, of thinking for me, of a new mindset for me is just learning that I've had to learn how to fill my own cup. You know what I'm saying? The
Mhm.
whole um mindset of like us looking for ways to find our value and be accepted and be approved for who we are and everything like that. I think one of the biggest things we've fallen short on, as young men growing up, is that we were looking for our value elsewhere. We were looking for our cup to be filled elsewhere. In women, in parties, in fashion, and even in music for me sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like it was a situation, back then when I was like, if I didn't have a girl that was feeling me, or I wasn't hollering at somebody, like I felt like I didn't mean anything. Or if I didn't get a compliment because my haircut was fly and I was dressed a certain way, like I didn't feel like I had any value. The mindset shift was for me is just like I don't I don't need to feel validated by anyone else when I learn to have the confidence in myself to fill my own cup. And that was a process of really just digging deep. And I think Q said it's just like looking in the mirror, having that mirror moment and saying, all right, Dev, it's us, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're good. You're solid. You have value. You know what I'm saying? Like learning to pour in and fill my own cup so I can continue to pour into the people around me and fill the cups of others. And so the mindset of what I would pour into young people is just like learn your value, know who you are, learn who you are, and not try to pull your validation from anyone else or anything else because you know I feel like it is valuable validation when other people can pour into you, But a lot of people can take advantage of that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And take that for granted too. Like, it's just like really take advantage of it because it's like, okay, if I pour into him, I can get whatever I want because
Mhm.
he feels valued by my words. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Where when you have your own value and you're pouring into yourself, that false validation is like, I'm good on that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so pouring into the younger generations is you gotta find your validation in yourself. You gotta learn how to pour into your own cup. You gotta learn how to fill your own cup so you're not desperate for validation from anyone else.
How is going to therapy impacted this mind? The things you're saying right now, how's it impacted that mindset?
It's allowed me to speak up about the things that I had shortcomings in. You know what I'm saying? Like those mirror moments. Like for me, like we'll chop it up like homies, but I'll have mirror moments like, wow, okay, I didn't see that before.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't see that before, and so now I gotta accept that and I gotta acknowledge that. And in that, I learned my lesson, which brings me more value.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so being a part of therapy has really allowed me to speak up and have those mirror moments with somebody who's willing to say, like, look, Dev, this is what I'm seeing based off of what you're saying. And then you see it, you got to acknowledge it, you got to accept it, and then you learn from it, and then you can shift that mindset and adjust, and that brings value.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
KB, man, you got I think you got a 5-year-old son, right?
Yeah.
What do you, since you've been going to therapy, is there something that has shifted in you that you would maybe want to tell your son that maybe you didn't want to tell him before about being a man and growing up? Or has therapy impacted you at all, or going to therapy at all impacted the way you kind of view your value as a man in any way? And if it's okay if it hasn't, but I'm just curious.
Um, yeah, I've grown to like understand to be like slow to anger, and then just try to put understanding, above all, and then just emotional intelligence. Um, but as far as finding value, I'm still working on that. I ain't came up in that solid for that. Just still, I'm still battling with that as far as like finding value in myself and all that.
Yeah, bro, that's real. I'm struggling with it too. I mean, I struggle with it too. I can be vulnerable and say that, man. Even as a therapist, and knowing and understanding better, honestly, sometimes makes it worse. You know what I mean? Because it's like, damn, you're supposed to know better. But no, I had the same struggles, man. So we had a conversation that kind of made me invite you to this conversation. You know, some of the things you were saying kind of made me invite you here, man. And I hope you got some takeaways with it, man. But it's a journey, bro. It's a journey, man. Trying to understand, the total value of yourself, and really peeling away from what it feels like. I mean, it's so much. It's not so much like understanding, but you can't dictate the way you feel, man. Like you feel a way. You know what I'm saying? When you ain't performing or somebody's questioning your performance, as a man, you feel a way. And like I said, even though I know better, I'm still fighting 40 plus years of conditioning
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
tells me that I have to, if I'm not doing these things, then I have no value. So what happens to me now is sadness. And I tell people anger is a secondary emotion, man. If you're angry, you are usually afraid or you are sad and you do not know how to emote those things. So you go to what you understand is the most masculine emotion you can present, which is anger. But in actuality, brother, you are sad or afraid,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So when somebody says I'm not performing, or, if I'm not performing and I feel it, I see it, most likely I'm afraid. I'm afraid of what that means for me, and that brings in sadness. What do I stand to lose by not performing? What do I stand to lose? My children's respect, my wife's respect. I don't know. Even though none of those things are probably even close to happening, the conditioning makes me believe that they are.
Yeah.
So Walt, man, I'm gonna go to you, man. What are your impact the impact therapy's had on your mindset, and like what would you pass on to younger generations in regards to how to measure your own value? Yeah.
Uh, for me, man, therapy has been invaluable. It has, it has changed my whole world purview because it kind of introduced me to a side of myself that I had suppressed for a long time.
Hmm.
Um, so it's definitely been beneficial to my life. If not for therapy, I likely would not have moved to Costa Rica. I might likely would. There's a lot of things that wouldn't have happened that have happened in the last, 6 to 8 months. Um, and as for the youth, um, determine your own value, man. Of course, you can use the world as a measuring stick for yourself, but don't let other people be your measuring stick. I
Facts.
mean, don't let them make a measuring stick for you. You make your own measuring stick. I had, my father was kind of absent most of my childhood, but I did have uncles and a great uncle that were great examples in my life and taught me a lot. But I looked up to those guys, whether they taught me actively or not, just them being themselves allowed me to establish my own measuring stick to see, hey man, I want to be that way when I grow up. So
Yeah. Listen, man, I appreciate y'all brothers, man. I just got one more question for each of y'all, man, on the way out the door. As we wrap it up, man, I want to know from your perspective how you feel like we can support each other as Black men in shedding some of these harmful expectations and unlearning some of this conditioning that we have grown to that's grown inside of us over all these years. I'm gonna start with you, Q, man. How do we help each other, man?
Man, like you said, and I'm always say it on every cast I'm on, bro, the unlearning. And then I'm gonna definitely piggyback on Devin when he was saying, bro, like you really gotta pour into yourself. Sometimes like confidence ain't always just cocky or it ain't always being narcissistic. Sometimes you really just got to care for yourself. So
Hmm.
care for yourself sometimes. God damn it. Pour into yourself. Put that, put your confidence on the highest pedestal. And then God damn it, you can give to everybody else. But once you fill your own cup, you ain't got to be worried about nobody else filling your cup up.
Thanks. KB, man, how we help each other, man, from your perspective.
I think
Your Wi-Fi might have went out on us, brother.
we
So you having a few
should
Wi-Fi
continue
problems.
just being each other's safe space for
Hmm.
starters. And we should
Yeah, nothing I'm saying.
now the phone went out. Say again.
Okay, yeah. So we didn't hear nothing you said, bro.
Oh,
You went out on
oh.
us.
I say we should continue being each other's safe space, how we could talk and be vulnerable about certain things. I think that helps a lot.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Devin, what you say, man? How we help each other, brothers, Black men?
I mean, I echo KB, man. Just having these platforms to be able to talk freely and safely, and also having like professionals to bounce emotions off of. Somebody who's unbiased but biased at the same time, and then somebody who um just opens that space, that created that not created space, that vulnerable space for us to just to pour out. You know what I'm saying? I think these conversations right here are dope because we don't. I think about my wife and all the girls and everything like that. They sit around and talk like this all day long. They can do that. We don't do that. And so
Mm-hmm.
creating these spaces, creating these platforms to be able to speak freely and safely and vulnerably without um having to defend ourselves in a sense, or without feeling like we're being attacked for feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I think these spaces are incredible. So yeah.
Walt, what you say, bro? What you say? What you say now?
Hey man, I'm gonna piggyback off of what Devin just said, and also what KB said. You know, have these spaces. Um, Me and my best friend, man, we've been friends since the seventh grade, right? We talk almost every single day,
Mm-hmm.
and it's something that somebody might say, "Man, what you on the phone with a dude for?" And it's like this space that you have created for us. Me and him have the same type of conversations, and that's why we talk so much. So some of us do have those spaces. I saw Mike's comment, and so I have that space with my best friend. But as far as having a group of men like us guys, this is I think one of the best ways that we can help each other.
Yeah. And I'm piggyback off everybody say, man, circumstances honestly allowed us to have this conversation. You know what I mean? Like, if not for the circumstances of our situation, these are five men that would not naturally run into each other and share space with each other. You know what I mean? For the most part, because we're all on like different wavelengths. We don't share those type of things in common that would put us in the same room, so to speak, other than being black men. So that's why I think it's very important. But we all got in this space and was able to talk to each other and relate, regardless of what's going on in our lives, because there are a lot of similarities in the things that we endure as black men. It's just a fact, and it's difficult for people who don't like. I don't have to explain what I mean when when Devin's saying the things that he's saying about the wins being for everybody and the losses. You say that you don't have to explain that to me, man. I know exactly what that means when you say it. I get that bar off top. Don't need to go into depth. And that's what I'm that's why these spaces are important, man. And I'm challenging, man. If you're a black man out there, I'm challenging you to bring it's not about growth or popularity. I get nothing off of this. I really just want to expand the conversation. I'm challenging every black man to bring at least one black man back to this conversation and expand it. And let's really throw uh, comments and questions in there with each other. It's not here. We're here to lift each other up. I mean, it's great if you have input or advice. All I ask is that if you're talking, you speak from a lived experience versus trying to tell another man how to live based on your lived experience. Speak from a lived experience and talk about your experience with a certain issue or a certain thing. And let's really expand this conversation and lift each other up and grow it as much as possible. Go to my YouTube channel, Vulnerability is the New Sexy, and subscribe, man. You know what I mean? I never asked that before at the end of in one of these sessions, but I'm asking it now because in this moment, I'm recognizing how important it is for us to have these conversations and to expand this conversation as much as possible, man. I really want us to be better. I really want us to show up in our relationships better. I want us to show up as better fathers, brothers, you know what I mean? Sons. I want all of that to happen, man. And that's only going to happen through holding each other accountable in a real way and expanding. There's a lot of unlearning, but I'm not even mad at the generation before me because those are things that they had to do to survive. Well, we in a different space now. We don't have to survive the same way. Um, so I'm encouraging every brother out there, go to Vulnerability is the New Sexy. Go subscribe to that YouTube channel. Make sure you hear. We hear every Tuesday without fail. Even when I don't feel like doing it. A couple of these brothers didn't feel like doing it today, but they showed up. I almost never feel like doing it, honestly. Sometimes the day be beating me up, but I always feel great when it's over with. Not because it's over, but because we did it. You know what I mean? So that's what I got for y'all today, man. We got a couple of good episodes coming up next week. We're gonna have a real deep, nuanced conversation next week. I'm getting two black female therapists on here, and we're gonna really have a conversation touching on some of the stuff that Walt brought up earlier and exploring why can't we exist in the same space sometimes without conflict with our black women. And then after that, we're gonna have a real deep conversation about, suicide ideation and all those things in the black home, in the black family. So I got it set up for the next 2 weeks for us to have some real intensive conversations, and I want y'all here. I want y'all here. I want eyes on this. Like I said, for no other reason, but it means something to me to expand the conversation. That's all. That's it. No dollars. None of that's coming my way. Just purpose. And if you find purpose, you find purpose. I can't tell you how healing it is for your value. Understanding what you're meant to do and then putting yourself in a position to do it. Right. There's value in that. You know what I mean? Instead of just going through life doing what is expected of you, so to speak, or doing what you have to do in order to survive. We can do better, bro. We can do better. But that's it, man. Listen, you're not a bank account. You're not a body. You're not a performer. You're a whole worthy human being. And as I said it once before, I say it again. When the black man is better at his best, the whole world is better for it. The whole world is better for it. I'll see y'all next week.
All right.
Hey. It's the only way to go out, Q.